I guess you could say this video is gonna be pretty fishy. Oh god, they just get worse by the day. Marincess is a new archetype coming out of Rising Rampage, and with that in mind, this may be the highest potential archetype in the set. So in today's video, whether we look at all of the relevant cards in the archetype and discuss whether it's worth it or not, today I'll be going over Marincess with all of the secret rares and the ultra rares in the set and figure out if Marincess are worth it. Before we get into this, if you guys want any of the cards mentioned in this video, make sure to go down into the description and check out my TCG player affiliate link. By using this link and clicking on it in general, you are supporting me immensely. And so if you want to support me, make sure to go down into the description and check out my TCG player affiliate link. With that, let's find out if Marincess are worth it. Alright, so what is the Marincess archetype and why is it actually good? Well, Marincess is a Cyberse water-based archetype revolved around link climbing into your Link 3 boss monster, while at the same time recurring all of the resources you used in the process. So what do I mean by all of this? Well, let's start with the most basic monster in the archetype, the card that the entire archetype revolves around getting access to, because this card is what enables your link climbing ability, which is Marincess Seahorse. So Marincess Seahorse is a level 3 water Cyberse effect monster with 1400 attack, 1000 defense, and the following effect. You can special summon this card from your hand to your zone of Marincess Link monster points to. You can only special summon Marincess Seahorse once per turn this way. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one water monster from your hand to a zone of Marincess Link monster points to. You can only use this effect of Marincess Seahorse once per turn. Alright, so this card doesn't actually seem that crazy. It's basically a Crusadia monster if you want to imagine it like that. But the reason why this card is indeed crazy in this archetype is because of the Link monsters. So with that in mind, we should probably read all of the Link monsters. Well, to start, we have Marincess Blue Slug, which is a water Cyberse Link effect monster, Link 1 with 1500 attack. It requires one level 4 or lower Marincess monster, and it has the following effect. If this card is link summoned, you can target one Marincess monster in your graveyard, except Marincess Blue Slug added to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except water monsters. You can only link summon Marincess Blue Slug once per turn. Alright, so just picking this card apart real quick, Marincess Seahorse, because of Blue Slug, now becomes a one card link 2, which isn't bad at all. We'll move on to Marincess Coral Anemone in a second, but that card heavily ties into this card. So basically, Marincess Blue Slug recurs the Seahorse, and then you can special summon the Seahorse to the zone it points to. And the reason why this is also good is, well, it's just free link climbing. One issue with Blue Slug I will mention, if there is an issue, is you can only link summon it once per turn, which means if something like Blue Slug gets striked, for example, then you're in for a rough time. But it's not the worst case scenario. It's not the worst thing in the world. But Blue Slug is definitely integral to the rest of the archetype, and so let's move on to the link to Marincess Coral Anemone. I have no clue how I'm pronouncing that correctly. Marincess Coral Anemone is a secret rare in the set, and I forgot to mention that Blue Slug and Seahorse are ultra rare. So now we're getting into the secret rares, and the trap is also an ultra rare. So as you can see, the archetype is very high rarity. So it may look like this archetype may not be worth it, but you guys will find out in a little bit if it is. So this is a water Cyberse Link effect monster. It is a Link 2 with 2000 attack. It requires 2 water monsters and has the following effect. You can target one water monster with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard. Special summon it to your zone this card points to. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except water monsters. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one Marincess card in your graveyard except Marincess Coral Anemone, add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Marincess Coral Anemone once per turn. So this card is actually incredible. It has arrows of left and bottom, which means means you can use this effect whether in the extra monster zone or the main monster zone, which is good to know. But my main thing with this card is it targets any water monster with 1500 or less attack and special summons it. So you're telling me this card is an easy enabler for water decks to put more water monsters on the field. I think the best target for Coral Anemone, I may be wrong, but I think it's probably Swap Frog. Being able to summon Swap Frog, use the effect, and then summon any other water monster enables you to use Coral Anemone to special the Swap Frog back, send a Ronin Toadin, and then banish whatever else you sent, special the Ronin Toadin, and then overlay for Totally Awesome. So it's like really straightforward in doing that, and it's so consistent as well. So I think Coral Anemone is actually really strong. The other big thing is that it requires 2 water monsters, which makes it more generic for water decks. So regardless of Marincess, this card's going to be incredible in the future for water decks, and I'm sure this card will see play, regardless of Marincess being relevant or not. But besides being generic water support, this card's also really good in Marincess. You revive the Marincess Seahorse or Blue Slug, and then Marincess Coral Anemone can link with the other monster you use into Marincess Marbled Rock. And then once Marincess Coral Anemone is sent from the field to the graveyard, you just recur the Marincess Seahorse in your graveyard, so you're basically getting your 1 card back that you committed to. Lastly, we have Marincess Marbled Rock. And Marincess Marbled Rock is basically the end-all be-all to the archetype. This is the card you want to get access to at the end of the combo. So what does it do? Well, it's a Water Cyrus Link Effect monster with 2500 attack. It's a Link 3 with arrows left, bottom, and right. It requires 2+ water monsters, and it has the following effect. You can target 1 Marincess card in your graveyard except Marincess Marbled Rock added to your hand. You can only use this effect of Marincess Marbled Rock once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send 1 Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard. For that battle, monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, also you take no battle damage. Marbled Rock is honestly really strong because as you're going through your combo, this is what you want to end up on, and while maybe it doesn't actually gain you any initial advantage, by having that first effect to recur Marincess cards from the graveyard means as the game goes on, Marbled Rock keeps getting better and better because Marincess are a control-based archetype. If you didn't realize it yet, Marincess rely on a control strategy and not really as much a combo strategy. It's just that these cards are 1-card Link 3s. So Marincess Marbled Rock is incredible. So yeah, I think Marincess Marbled Rock is a great way to end your combo. It's a Link 3, which is really important for the main trap card we're gonna get to. But yeah, Marincess Marbled Rock is definitely core to the archetype. Finally, we have the trap card, and I think if you guys don't think this trap card's good, you'd be surprised. This card is incredible, and with that in mind, we have Marincess Wave. Marincess Wave is a normal trap with the following effect. If you control a Marincess Link monster, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of this turn. Then, if you control a Link 2 or higher Marincess monster, all face-up monsters you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. If you control a Link 3 or higher Marincess monster, you can activate this card from your hand. Okay, let's slow down a bit. What? Marincess Wave is incredible! It's basically an impermanence, which you may think, oh, I can just play impermanence instead. But the first thing is Marincess Wave is recurable. All of the Link monsters recur in some manner, and Marincess Wave can be recurred by your Coral Anemone or Marbled Rock. That's incredible! Being able to recur a card like this gains you so much advantage. And then not only is it an impermanence, it would have been just fine if it was an impermanence. But because it says then if you control Link 2 or higher Marincess monster, all face-up monsters you currently controlled are unaffected by your opponent's card effects, I mean, what? That's incredible! I think Marincess Wave is highly underrated for something like this. That's such a powerful effect, basically making all your monsters a tower-like boss monster. And then not only that, but you can also activate it from your hand. You can activate it from your hand. It's an actual hand trap. This card is incredible for the archetype and definitely is the best trap card for Marincess as of right now. This is something you definitely need for the archetype. It's like the best card to open in the deck. But because I say open, does that mean it's not searchable? Well, I mean, yeah, it's not searchable as of now, which is like highly depressing, but we'll talk about the issues right now. So what are some of the issues with the archetype? Well, to start, you literally only have 3 Marincess Seahorse as of right now. In Chaos Impact, we are getting new Marincess support. That means we will have 9 starter cards in the deck, but as of right now, we only have 6 starters. The way to link climb in the archetype is really strong, but it doesn't actually end on any disruption inherently. It's just recurring your resources. What the deck is lacking is a way to get access to Marincess Wave immediately. So if we got like a Link 1, because think about it, in the combo, you can use a Link 1 when you summon Marincess Blue Slug or Coral Anemone. So if you're able to use the Seahorse that's on the field and link it into a Link 1 that says add a Marincess Wave or add a Marincess Trap from your deck to your hand, that would be the key piece we need, because otherwise this deck is pretty strong, besides the fact that it is heavily normal summon reliant. So in the end, are Marincess worth it? Well, I've addressed what the cards do and the issues with the archetype, but honestly, this archetype has a lot of potential. The fact is, this is an anime archetype that's going to be getting more and more support over time, and already the support is really promising. They're actually giving the deck good cards, and I personally feel like if they can solve the normal summon issue and give you a method of accessing your trap cards immediately, then oh man, are we talking. That's gonna be pretty nice. But yeah, right now, if we're including Signet Mining, because honestly, if you're playing a full-on Marincess deck, you need 3 Signet Mining. You cannot go without it. So if you're playing Signet Mining, it's going to end up being $207. However, if you cut the Signet Minings from the price, then it becomes around $107, basically $100 cheaper, because Signet Mining is around $100 for the 3 copies right now. Is it worth it for that price point? Honestly, I would say yes, even with the Signet Minings. This archetype has a lot of potential, and I think this will be a top tier archetype eventually. There are just so many promising cards in the deck, and I would be shocked if Konami didn't give it the rest of the support it deserves. But even if you don't think the archetype will be good, that's fine too. I'm not telling you to buy the archetype, but the one thing I think is actually a really good card to pick up now rather than later is probably the best generic card out of the archetype, Marincess Coral Anemone. I feel like this card will be super relevant at some point. The effect to just reborn any monster should not be scoffed at. We have a card like Swap Frog, which can easily help us in this manner, so make sure you have your Marincess Coral Anemones at some point. Marincess are a really cool archetype. It requires you to link climb using 1 monster to become a Link 3. Honestly, this is a really interesting strategy, and with a card like Marincess Wave and all of the Link monsters and Marincess Seahorse, I personally feel like this archetype will be good, and that's why I feel like Marincess are worth it.